Elizabeth Dionne is back.
It is great to be back, Jeff. Thank you.
First repeat guest, but that's we're going to have a lot of repeat guests. Elizabeth is running for treasurer of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and her website is votedionne.com. It's on the screen for everybody to go to give her money, lots of money, so she can win this race.
So we can get the message out. This is the winnable race for the GOP this year. Yeah. It absolutely is, because the incumbent is so flawed and so disliked.
And we are going to get into quite a few of the reasons why in a bit. But big news to announce here for Elizabeth, and that's recent, and that she was down at the Secretary of State's office to present everybody with the good news of...
I am now officially the GOP candidate for state treasurer. I am on the ballot. Alex, my campaign manager, and I went in Friday afternoon and submitted 7,400 signatures, most of which were certified. That's got to be some kind of a record for the treasurer. We submitted signatures from 252 cities and towns. All Nobody
right.
does that.
I'm gonna vamp a little bit here. There might be a button where I can go. Nope, that's not it. Hang on. No, clapping. Nope. There it is. That's the.
There we go. Fourth time was the charm.
Yep. All right, there we go.
So we're pretty psyched. We know we actually have more signatures. We had 8,100 signatures certified, which we know from the Secretary of State. We had so many volunteers, and what we didn't do is use state employees to gather our signatures.
Oh, that's
we know that Goldberg did.
Look, let me say that this is the dirty pool that goes on in Massachusetts. That's a little known fact. Fact in Massachusetts, maybe across the country, who knows, but definitely here, is if you're an employee, a state house employee, and you like your job and you work for an elected official, you are. Well, it's not said open, but the unwritten rule is you better help get that elected official on the ballot because you really like your job.
So Bob Crane, longest serving treasurer, most corrupt treasurer in Massachusetts history, WGBH did a deep dive in a series called Scratch and Win, and they got an former employee on the record talking about how he pretty much was told his job was on the line. If he wanted to stay employed at the treasurer's office, he better be out on weekends collecting signatures for Bob Crane.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that all the current employees are doing this completely voluntarily because they think Deb Goldberg's such a great boss. I'm sure they're not at all worried about their employment prospects.
Yeah, we're going to get into why Deb Goldberg is not that. Some sarcasm there from Elizabeth, but
just a little bit, bit.
Deservedly so. All right, down to some serious news, though. Okay, this is a serious race. I know it's not the governor's race, and it's not the full top of the ticket and doesn't get all the headlines, but there are some important headlines that we have to cover because there are some important issues that Deb Goldberg is involved with. There's some scandals that we're going to get into. There's some very important things that the voters need to know and understand about what her position is and what she has done and what she has failed to do.
Actually, let me just say the first thing voters need to know, the state treasurer is incredibly powerful. It is the most powerful statewide office that voters know nothing about. It controls at any given point up to a fifth of the state budget. I have the power, and this is I pledged to do. The very first thing I can do day one is go in and order an audit of all 12 treasurer departments. It's a fifth of the budget that suddenly voters will have insight into. The treasurer is over the $120 billion in state debt that's issued. We're second in the nation for per capita debt load at the state level. Treasurer is in charge of that. Not the bringing it on. That's the legislature's fault.
Yeah.
But actually issuing the debt and selling it.
Right.
Also, the treasurer's over the $120 billion pension fund. So massive, massive money under the treasurer's control. Voters need to understand and care about this office.
So you can make that happen. So what?
I can make that happen.
20% of our $60 billion budget. So you're talking at least $12 billion or something like that.
That suddenly they'll have complete transparency into. I have been a local elected official for the last 10 years in Belmont. I have complied with open meeting law. I have complied with public records law. I will do that as a state treasurer. Those are good and important things.
Yeah, it's appalling to, I think, everybody that we pay our tax dollars and somehow it just goes in this black hole.
Oh, yeah.
And the legislators on Beacon Hill we don't care. You're not seeing it. You're not going to you don't know where it's going. And that just says scandal everywhere. That's corruption through and through.
Thumbing their nose at 72% of voters who voted for the audit and the 86% who, according to the latest poll, now support the audit.
Yeah.
86%. Talk about a unifying issue in Massachusetts politics. This is not red or blue. Open, responsive, clean governance is a bipartisan, common sense issue, and Republicans are on the right side of this, as is Democrat Diana DeSaglio. Bless her heart.
Well, I don't want to give too much love to Democrats, but
fair
we
enough.
do want the audit here. This is a Republican podcast.
I agree. But I think Republicans need to know that we can win these arguments.
Absolutely.
We can win because we're on the right side.
So one of the worst elected officials in Massachusetts is Deb Goldberg, who you'd be running against.
Hear, hear.
And she has been up to, well, failing the voters. So hopefully this plays without any ad interruptions here. So let's play this clip from NBC 10 Boston.
A facility is being called the first of its kind in the industry.
An employee collapsed inside Truly Eve's production facility in Holyoke after having trouble breathing. Her mom speaking out to NBC 10 investigator Kathy Curran. Kathy, what happened here?
And Glenn and Priscilla, Lorna McMurray went to work one day in January at True Leave and never made it home. Months later, federal investigators linked her death to her job working with ground cannabis. Now her family is calling for change.
I lost my whole world. I don't even know how I made it this far without her.
Laura Bruno says her world came crashing down on January 4th when her daughter Lorna collapsed at True Leave's cannabis processing facility in Holyoke.
And it was about 20 to 1 when I got a text from her, and she texted, "Mom, I'm having trouble breathing and walking at the same time." And I texted back, "Lorna, I'm on my way."
According to reports obtained by the NBC 10 investigators, emergency crews responded to a person in cardiac arrest. Her mom says Lorna was on life support at Bay State Medical Center for 4 days. She died after going into cardiac and respiratory arrest from a presumed severe asthma attack.
I sat there holding her hand 4 days on that machine, just hoping that she'd come back.
The death prompted an investigation by the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. OSHA found Lorna died from occupational asthma due to ground cannabis, and that workers here weren't given enough information or training related to the hazards of cannabis production or the grinding process. True Leave is contesting OSHA's findings. A spokesperson tells us PPE was available on site to all employees and that air quality tested throughout the facility during the OSHA inspection was at well below
pause it right here because this is going into more of the case itself.
And also I want to say she'd had a prior asthma attack at the facility. I don't believe the company on this.
Yeah. So you know more detail about what took place here as far as what the treasurer's role in the treasurer's office as far as in the Cannabis Control Commission directly. So please let's explain to the audience what was taking place there.
So let's back up to when Massachusetts voters voted to authorize recreational cannabis use. One of the promises that was made to voters is that Massachusetts would be at the forefront of worker safety, of public safety from people who are consuming, and also helping small businesses. The Cannabis Control Commission from the outset has been under not the exclusive, but the primary control of Deb Goldberg, the state treasurer. So the Cannabis Control Commission was formed in 2017. And to quote her fellow party member, House Speaker Ron Mariano, from its inception, it's been a, quote, train wreck. Because she put her cronies in charge who didn't have the qualifications, who didn't have the experience. In particular, one of her former aides, a guy named Sean Collins. And she's tried to claim that she doesn't know Sean. We have pictures that she posted on her Facebook page with Sean saying he's one of her peeps. So for her to claim that she had nothing to do with Sean Collins is an absolute lie. Anyway, Sean was a disaster. And the Cannabis Control Commission was a disaster. So Shannon O'Brien was brought in August or September of 22 to clean it up. Shannon O'Brien, Democrat, but former state treasurer, very well respected, and she was cleaning things up. And one of the things she was trying to implement was worker safety. And she was blocked at every turn by Sean Collins. And when O'Brien finally went to Goldberg to say, Sean Collins is a problem. He is blocking these reforms that we promised to voters. What does Goldberg do? Falsely accuses O'Brien of racism and tries to fire her.
So that was the reason.
That was
that scandal that we dealt with last year. That was the reason.
That was the reason. And Lawyers Weekly just named O'Brien's two attorneys as Lawyers of the Year for their work on this case, and they have also said, basically, Collins was Goldberg's crony.
So I mean, this is real serious stuff. A woman
Really
died.
serious.
A
Really
woman
serious.
died.
Yes.
She was because of worker safety.
Yes.
Because the lack of oversight, the lack of implementation of safety standards
Yep.
from the Cannabis Control
That had
Commission,
been promised to the public.
and Deb Goldberg directly responsible for putting a crony in place instead of a serious person.
Well, she put a crony in place and then a serious person. And when there was a clash between the serious person and the crony, she fired the serious person.
Okay.
So she defended the crony, fired the serious person. This woman, time and again, has told us who she is and what she will do.
Yeah. No,
Again and again and
this,
again.
This needs to go out to
It
the
does.
entire Commonwealth, and they really need to come out and vote her out, vote you in.
And then
for sure.
she refused to ever speak with or meet with the family.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a sad story. I mean, we
It's
saw how sad it
devastating.
was on that report.
I can't imagine losing a child.
Yeah.
You never recover from that.
Yeah.
And it was avoidable. The whole point was that if
Right.
the state had done what it had promised, if Goldberg had done what she should do,
Yeah.
it was avoidable. It would not have happened.
No, it's a disaster.
And this
We're
is
gonna-
why we know a number of unions are very upset with the treasurer. And this is just one of many reasons why.
So one of the reasons out this, and even though this is going to be something that Deb Goldberg is not going to be in charge of anymore, it doesn't dissuade from the reason. So we're going to play this clip.
It doesn't. It says who she is.
Yeah.
So even though cannabis has finally been taken out of her claws,
Yeah.
she's still in charge of major areas of the state budget. The Alcohol Beverage Control Commissions, the inspectors who have to go into dangerous spots, and she won't let them be armed. So that's an entire different issue we're not going to get to today. Let's save that for another podcast.
Yeah.
But every single one of the 12 departments, there are issues.
Yeah. All right, let's play this this is recently from early April. As I turn on.
Overhaul of state cannabis laws. NBC 10's Glenn Jones is joining us once again in studio. He's got a closer look tonight at what's next, Glenn.
Colton, as part of the overhaul, we'll be seeing a restructuring of the commission that regulates cannabis in the state. We're talking about the Cannabis Control Commission. The legislation would shrink its size from 5 commissioners to 3. 2 sources tell me all current commissioners would be terminated the moment the governor signs it into law. She will then appoint 3 new ones. The bill would also expand business opportunities, especially for social equity operators. Plus, it would raise the legal possession limit from 1 ounce to 2. That's how much cannabis you can carry at any one time. The overhaul was first approved by the House and Senate last year, and since January, 6 negotiators from the House and Senate have been working through the differences to come up with this new compromise bill.
I'm very confident that myself and the chair have come to terms with the help of our colleagues on a piece of legislation that's going to benefit every single license holder in our communities, and that absolutely have been waiting for this piece of legislation to come to its fruition.
The lead negotiators expect the House and Senate to vote on the final legislation this week, and if it's approved, the measure would then head to Governor Maura Healey's desk for a signature.
Hey, Elizabeth, can you tell me what the vote was on that legislation?
Love to tell you what the vote was.
Running your
the vote,
first 5K.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Kill this here. What was the vote?
The vote in the House of Representatives was 155 to 0. Every single member of Deb Goldberg's party voted against her. She's a unifying force in Massachusetts, that's for sure.
That is rare. It is a rare feat.
And
to get.
Every Democrat in the Senate also voted against her. Literally every member of her party voted against her. I have spoken to a number of Democratic representatives who are supporting me quietly. They can't do it publicly.
Yeah.
She is loathed and despised in the legislature.
It's almost comical that you have a person who is, you have to almost,
that bad.
You have to work hard
to be that
that disliked. You have to really work hard to be that toxic a person and pissed off so many people that your own party will vote in uniform against you.
And the word people have repeatedly used to me is hate. They hate her.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you one example of why. So here's an example of the way that she's used the treasurer's office to fund her personal vendettas. She got mad at Representative Mark Cusack, who represents Braintree, because he was pressuring her, understandably, on the Cannabis Control Commission and the fact that it was a train wreck. So she decides to move the lottery from Braintree to Dorchester. She takes it out of his district to spite him and costs us $20 million in rental space over 3 years. So this is a woman. She's the heir to the Stop and Shop fortune. So she's just used to having lots and lots and lots of money. She doesn't care if it's your money or hers. She's going to use it, whatever it is, to pursue her personal vendettas. So this is one reason I haven't spoken with Representative Cusack. I'm going to bet he's going to vote for me, though. I'm just hazarding a guess here.
I think it's a good guess.
just saying.
No, she's terrible. I just, I've had some of the other candidates on here, and it bothers me to my core that we're governed by such incompetent and really
entitled.
Just people that don't understand what they're there for at all, enriching themselves, power trips, all of it. It's just grotesque.
It's even better. We know she spends about a third of her year at her third home in Palm Beach. She's not even a full-time state resident. So I'm a full-time state resident.
Yeah.
She misses key meetings. She's literally phoning it in if she intends at all. So I figure all my billboard has to say is, Elizabeth Dionne, I live in the state full-time. I'll be your full-time treasurer.
Yeah, so let's get that back up here because I'll put the other plug in here. Go to votedionne.com and please contribute to Elizabeth's campaign because we need money for advertising to win votes and get Elizabeth elected instead of Deb Goldberg. All right, one more. Well, actually, so this is another serious situation here where we have. Let me go back to this. So this is from the Boston Globe. A whistleblower said this cannabis firm had an inside track. Soon, it's set to face discipline. So this is. I'm not going to read the whole thing here because
I can give you a quick summary. Yeah. This is in the Boston Globe, hardly a bastion of right-wing conservatism. Right. So if it's there and they're hitting on the treasure, you can bet that it's probably legit. So there was a company called Greatest Hits, and it was not complying, as many companies were not complying with regulations that were sort of set up by the Cannabis Control Commission. But the auditor and the inspector general both hit on the CCC for being totally erratic while O'Brien was out. Defending her good name. So while she's out, there's chaos going on. There was a whistleblower named Matt Duncan who worked for Greatest Hits. And he went to the CCC and said, hey, my boss is bragging about the fact that he doesn't have to comply with regulations because he's friends with Sean Collins. Remember, Deb Goldberg's crony. And Sean Collins, and the complaint got buried. And Sean Collins claims he had nothing to do with Greatest Hits, but this is highly suspicious. When he finally left the Cannabis Control Commission, guess who he sets up business with? A guy named Nick Adamopoulos, who was Greatest Hits' attorney. So Sean Collins and Nick are buddy-buddy. You can't tell me that there wasn't some influence with Greatest Hits. So it's still being investigated. But the thing that really killed me is this is the end of this article. Goldberg claims, I haven't spoken to Sean Collins in 10 years. But we have screenshots from her Facebook page showing her traveling with Sean Collins and including him and her peeps. So maybe they traveled together and just didn't speak. I don't know how that works.
No, she's
but,
not.
But the woman, she's a liar. She's a flat out liar.
She's a liar.
She's just a liar.
She's a liar.
So,
and
I think if nothing else, let's be honest with the voting public. Let's truth seems like a pretty low bar.
I hope people see this, and I hope people understand how bad she is, because there is a real. I mean, there's a lot of hacks and cronies and corruption, and I get that, it's a lot of blue up on Beacon Hill, and we can certainly make it more purple.
Oh, and it should be purple. Let me get into why Massachusetts is actually a purple state. And I say that and people are shocked. But if you look at 7 of the last 10 governors, they've been Republicans. And I'm going to claim Ed King as an honorary 8th because he primaried Michael Dukakis and beat him as a fiscal conservative. So let's just say 8 of the last 10 were fiscal conservatives, and proudly so. But we're the birthplace of gerrymandering. There is no state in the nation that's more gerrymandered than we are. It began here in 1812 with Elbridge Gerry, and it's gerrymandering.
Yep.
Also, Democrats have been very disciplined, and Republicans have been a circular firing squad. But the last thing is that September primary is set up. Not actually, this is the third of 4 things. It's set up by the Democrats to keep themselves in power.
There's a lot of rules. There's a lot of things.
But the last thing you need to know is that the Democrats have used the state to fund their party operatives, and in particular, they've used the treasurer's office to fund their party operatives. I'm going to tell you a couple of stories.
So get into
so the treasurer is the reason the treasurer's office is uniquely powerful is every time there was a Republican governor, the legislature would take something from the governor, give it to the treasurer. The lottery's adopted. Lots of money. Does it go to Frank Sargent? No, it goes to Ed Crane, Bob Crane, the most corrupt treasurer we've ever had. Bob, who 98% of his employees were Democrats. Bob, who employed 150 people in the Clean Water Trust. And when Joe Malone came in, it took 10. Yeah. There were 140 people on payroll in the Clean Water Trust in the field. What do you think they were doing? So then Mitt Romney's the governor. The Alcoholic Beverages Control Commission gets taken from Mitt Romney and given to the treasurer.
Yeah.
Charlie Baker. Mixing up my treasurers and governors here. Charlie Baker's governor. Cannabis doesn't go to him. It goes to Jeff Goldberg.
Right.
So you have three major revenue generating areas. Lots of jobs, lots of revenue. They all go to the treasurer's office to be used to hire Democratic operatives.
Patronage jobs for people.
And I want to be really clear. There are a lot of frontline workers. I have just spent 10 years in local government. Those frontline workers, they really are mission driven. But there are also a lot of patronage jobs.
Well, this is what I want to hit on real quick, because there's a clip I want to play for the audience. That,
State in 2020.
So this is quick report here, but it's a bit long. But we're going to get into this because it hits on exactly what you're talking about.
Boston 25 News investigates.
Your tax dollars and state road fees fund Massachusetts' $3 billion transportation budget every year. But tonight, a 25 investigates exclusive report uncovers taxpayers are getting taken for a ride. Investigative reporter Ted Daniels spent 7 months tracking MassDOT's highest.
Just want a little aside. Ted Daniels has been fantastic over the past few years. He is a great investigative reporter.
This is a spectacular piece of investigative journalism.
Paid workers. Ted reveals a pattern of clocking out and cashing in among some of them.
We've been looking into a group of MassDOT workers since September of 2025. We put the time in, documenting when top earners left for the day. We found employees routinely billing double shifts on legally binding time cards. Time on the clock is supposed to equal time on the job, but we found that's not always the case. Meet Zach Fuller and his 2025 GMC pickup. It retails for roughly the same price as Fuller's $84,000 a year base salary. Not a stretch when you factor in overtime, paid at time and a half. State payroll records reveal Fuller's total compensation was $240,000 last year, or nearly 3 times his base. On his Facebook.
So I'm going to stop it there because it goes into more of the detail, but
And he was one of just 7 or 8 employees where they documented this.
But this is happening.
Yeah.
Everywhere. People who have a job but don't do anything. People who maybe have a job but rob the taxpayers. You can't work. You'd have to work, sleep 6 hours a night, and then go back to work to do what this guy did to get the clock, to get the time cards to line up to get triple.
So we're pretty sure we've been told that we need to do a similar look at lottery employees.
Okay.
We've been told, but we don't have the resources yet to do it, but hope to get it. But have been told that we need to be watching their driver's licenses or their license plates on their cars to see where they are, because they're not going to the office.
Yeah.
The people that she's hired do not have the professional credentials to be working in the lottery. Lottery revenues are down significantly under Goldberg's leadership, if you want to call it that. Yeah. And why this matters is the lottery is the 4th largest source of revenue in the state, and it is the single largest source of revenue for cities and towns. So all these cities and towns that are having override requests right now and legitimately need them because the state's not funding local services the way that it's supposed to.
That's supposed to come from a significant portion from the lottery. Okay.
So as lottery revenues are declining, that has a direct impact, and that the decline in lottery revenues is absolutely related to the fact that her patronage hires aren't qualified.
Yeah.
And we also know some of the people she's fired who are qualified, but happened to cross her. And I can say this about one of them. The reason he got fired, I've seen his affidavit, I've seen his texts. She fired him because he refused to destroy evidence in the Shannon O'Brien case. Literally. He submitted an affidavit saying she had asked him to destroy evidence. He refused to do it. She fired him.
Yeah, this is laughable how bad this woman is.
Yeah, it's or you cry or laugh, one or the other.
I prefer to laugh because I want to, at least have a cheerier outlook than most. Your to be treasurer is a critical piece of the machinery of the Commonwealth, and it cannot be continually abused like this. People really have to come out and vote for you and understand that it is a important position that cannot be just this hack nonsense.
As I say, the most important
absent-minded people.
The most important office people know nothing about that has a direct impact on the bottom lines of taxpayers and families and cities and towns in Massachusetts.
This is another one here. I want to
Federal prosecutors
more fraud taking place because we're getting ripped off left and right, and this needs to be known.
Than $1 million in food stamps and COVID-era unemployment benefits were spent fraudulently. And now, 4 Massachusetts residents are facing charges. WBZ's Louisa Moeller shows us how this scheme worked.
We walked into El Primo restaurant in Leominster looking for answers, but no one was available to take our questions. What's advertised as a home for authentic Dominican dishes, federal officials say was a hub for fraud.
These defendants used stolen identities from victims across the country.
U.S. Attorney Leah Foley told reporters that the owner of El Primo, 37-year-old Raul Fernandez Vicioso, and 3 others, including 2 Venezuelan nationals, used stolen identification to fraudulently collect more than $400,000 in federal food assistance benefits, or SNAP, and $700,000 in federal unemployment benefits from Rhode Island and Massachusetts. These pictures from court documents showing how the group allegedly used the funds to buy
Costco
food
right
in
there.
bulk and use it in the restaurant.
So this is just crazy to me. This is happening everywhere. We are getting ripped off. There's no controls over the SNAP spending. They're just opening it up to everybody.
And when you say we, it's specifically Massachusetts we. It's not the United States we, because other states seem to figure this out. And kudos to Leah Foley for doing the work that Andrea Campbell should be doing and refuses to do. What is the Attorney General's job? It first of all ought to be to protect Massachusetts and its residents. And the thing that really burns me about this is we're compassionate people. We don't want any child to go hungry. Every dollar that is stolen in SNAP benefits is a child who's not eating, and that is immoral.
Yeah.
I think Andrea Campbell is immoral, the way that she is not addressing this and protecting children and families in Massachusetts.
It's crazy. It's crazy, and it needs to stop. Full stop.
Yeah.
This is the thing. I explained this on episodes where some folks they get it in their head that like, oh, well, if we just get a good viral video or something like that, that nothing changes unless we vote in Republicans. Okay, and look, this is a Republican podcast. It's going to be one like we're going to push our candidates because it needs to be known. But unless I'm going to put in a little plug for me here, unless you vote more Republicans in office, contribute to the Republican Party, donate, get people elected, none of this changes. Because what's going to happen is just Andrea Campbell will just sit on her hands, do nothing, and continue to just lackluster performance over and over and over again.
So, Jeff, a critically important number. Remember I said Massachusetts is purple? 65% of Massachusetts voters are unenrolled.
Yeah.
That tells us that 65% of voters are not convinced by the Democrats' lack of leadership and lack of a message forward. Yeah. We have a decades-long history in this state of voters trusting Republicans with the economy. Yeah. We can do this if people believe that their vote will make a difference. We can do this if people accept common sense government again and again and again. From the Democrats who are supporting me, what I've heard is we need checks and balance on Beacon Hill. A lot of old-time Democrats feel like the party has left them behind. The party's gone so far left, and they have a lot more in common with elements of the Republican platform than they have with the Democrats.
Yeah.
This 2026 is a critical election. The state has gone so far south in 3.5 very short years.
Yeah.
And if we want to turn it around, it's got to be November 26th.
Yeah. All right. Elizabeth Dionne.
Jeff, my pleasure.
The
Thank
website is votedionne.com. I'll put it up there one more time for people to support her, volunteer for her campaign. She's going to need people getting out canvassing, coming in the fall. Sign up today. Donate to her campaign so we can get advertising, get her elected. And I'll put in one more plug for this show and the Republican Party. Go to the link on the screen, scan the QR code. Donate today. We need your support. And as always, I want to thank you, Elizabeth. We'll have you back on again when Deb Goldberg steps in it one more time, because we know she's going to.
There are 12 departments. We've only discussed what we discussed today isn't even the 12 departments.
So
there's a lot more to discuss.
Well, we've got, let's see, we've got 6 months, less than 6 months till the election. So we're going to have you back on quite a few times to make sure we get you elected.
Wonderful. Look forward to it.
And thanks again for coming on. So
Thank you.
We'll talk to everybody soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.